Welcome everyone to the Faculty Learning Institute's wellness workshop called Adjusting Expectations and Striking Balance, Managing Family and Work. I'm Sarah Bosler, the FLY co-chair with Nicole Airy, and I'd like to introduce our facilitators for today. Today is part 2 of a 2-part session so far. We may have some additional parts in the future. So far, part 2. Nikki Gorham is a licensed clinical social worker. She has worked over 13 years in providing mental health and behavior intervention services using evidence-based practices to children, adults, and families. She is one of the founders of a group practice that offers counseling, consultation, presentation, and contract services for the K-12 school setting and institutes of higher education. Nicole Rabaudy is an associate marriage family therapist. She has over a decade of experience in intervention and social emotional learning. Nicole has worked with students of all ages and families in identifying best practices for mental health and learning. She has developed and implemented social emotional curriculum, counseled families, and is currently supporting students with learning differences and evaluations, in addition to supporting their families. So welcome for joining us today.
So thank you, Sarah. Once again, my name is Nikki Gorham, and I just would like to welcome you to the Wellness Series hosted by the Faculty Learning Institute. I'd like to start by just thanking Sarah Bosler and Nicole Airy, who have been working with myself and my co-facilitator Nicole to develop this series. Thank you for those who are in attendance today. And just as we get started, I want to inform you all that our time together is confidential. So anything that you say remains in this space, and we ask that you keep what is shared by others confidential as well. I will now hand it over to Nicole.
Hello, welcome everybody. It's nice to be here with you today. Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week. Yeah. If you joined us last time, you'll remember that we were sort of leading into the topic that we're going to talk about today as our next natural step in our conversations. Expectation is a huge word, so we're just sort of break it down for you today. But also expectation and how to manage this moment in time. Really, that's what we're going to consider today, along with striking that balance and what elements go into that formula. We just want to share with you, the research we've done, came across steps that you can take to achieve that balance. I know it's a hard time. We were talking earlier about it's the end of the year. There's so much happening for you. So maybe balance is more important than ever right now as you sort of finish out the school year and launch into your summer. We want to encourage you to practice fluidity with yourself to navigate these next steps. And as we prepare to go on a year from working from home, it is vital that you practice grace and patience with yourself. How do we adjust those expectations of ourselves and also those around us, our families, our coworkers, our supervisors, our colleagues? It's sort of a word that can cross multiple types of relationships. We're going to talk about managing frustration, how empathy will protect and connect. It protects us, and also it deepens our connection with others. And also that, like I said, achieving that family work balance. And also we're going to cover de-escalating stressful moments. And we'll just do a little bit on Zoom fatigue, which I know we're all experiencing after this long. So we just want to sort of touch on that a little bit. First, let's talk about what is expectation. Expectation is the strong belief that someone should or will do something. This year, this is what we said last time too, there were so many expectations put on you and you rolled with it. We know that many of you are still working from home, but you also might be working in the office now. You have very little recharge time, and you also might be re-emerging, meeting in person, supporting businesses that you want to support, supporting your family. And we just add this to-do list, and you're practicing your self-care. That's huge. That's a lot. And so I want to go back to that word I brought up. One of the best ways we can carry ourselves through this moment is by having grace, both with yourself and others. So important. And one pathway to that is to adjust expectations. It's safe to say that we had Herculean expectations of ourselves this year. You pivoted, we did everything we needed to do, but now that we have a little more breathing room, we may still be in that hypervigilant state, which is a state of being hyper aware. That state was extremely useful in the past year, but it could be a little bit unrealistic now that it could be a standard you're still holding yourselves to that's not quite fitting this moment. The way I describe it is our shoulders were up for 14 months. I think we could all relate to that feeling. You're just sort of waiting for the next shoe to drop. And now that we're in this sort of next moment, we need time to ramp down to a calmer, more centered state. But the question remains, of course, how do we get there? And how does the expectations of ourselves factor in? How can we be gentle with ourselves when we navigate this new reality? So I want to, and we did go over this last time, but we're going to take it deeper today. I want to take a moment to consider what you've cherished this year. So it's a little different than like a habit, but what you've cherished. And it could be like a hobby, it could be a coping skill. I want us to reflect on what those habits were, and we're going to be drawing on them as a source of continued strength and joy. This is really important as we go into the next stage of the pandemic. We can't ask ourselves to pivot away from what brought us joy and strength. And I did hear that last week reflected in some of your comments, that you really wanted to take some of those things that you've learned and you've leaned on and how to take them into the next stage. So we're really going to encourage you to gently integrate them into the now moment. But I really want you to think deeply about that for just a moment. And as last week, we want to maintain an active chat. So feel free to drop one word or phrase into the chat of something you cherish this year, something that you're not ready to say goodbye to. Some habits you might want to say goodbye to. There's some things that I'm not going to be doing anymore. I'm not going to be taking elaborate cooking classes, but I might do that for special occasions. This is not the time to limit yourself. Don't think I don't have the time. Just dig into it. This is a time to dream and to sort of cherish what we had. So I want to encourage everyone. Oh, great. Oh yeah, being able to work in my slippers. That's fantastic. I love that one. I love that one. I cherished, I'm going to add, I cherish those home cooked meals.
We have taking long walks.
Yes, and now I'm supporting businesses with takeout. So sort of, I've gone, elastic pants. Yes.
That's a great one.
Not rushing to drop off the kids.
Great.
Yeah, there were a lot of things walking, no commute. There were a lot of good things that happened this year in terms of the way we coped. And I want you to take this moment to honor that and to hold on to that. We don't need to let them go. As I've said, these are sources of joy and strength that we can take with us into the next chapter. So hold on to those words, and we're going to launch into really how to adjust our expectations, vital reminders of having grace with ourselves, treating ourselves with care. When we do that, it often reverberates and puts positivity into your interactions with others. And also it influences your positive self-care. So let's first start with decide what is reasonable for yourself at any given time. What you may be able to tackle one day is impossible the next day. And that's something we need to accept about this reality. Put off what you are able to, prioritize according to what is time sensitive, but also what's going to serve your positive mental health. Ask yourself if an extra day is actually okay. I know in this world, we're often rushing, we want to get ahead of the deadline, but actually sometimes an extra 24 hours can do wonders for you, and it's most likely okay in a lot of situations if we just communicate that need. And I also want to encourage you to prioritize when you are calm. It's impossible to decide what's reasonable when you're in an agitated state. If you need to take a deep breath or take a walk, you will make better decisions for yourself. Nikawana left us with her incredible resources, which we are going to share again. And I did it this week, and I found it so helpful just to put myself in a more centered state. Another step is reducing the word should. I didn't say eliminate because we're not going to eliminate it right now. First step is to reduce. None of us can control every detail, try as we might. And I know sometimes I do too. Reducing this word from your self-talk is going to help you to stop ruminating on what you should be doing. The person who puts the most pressure on you is probably you. I know that tends to be true for many of us. You know, we put pressure on ourselves. I should do this, I should do that. But this is a really good time to reacquaint yourself with the phrase good enough. So, you know, keeping that top of mind for what's good enough. You know, I didn't make the meal the best. I didn't water the plants well, I'll do it tomorrow. Where can you find those opportunities where good enough is really good enough? If we expect perfection at every juncture, we are setting ourselves up for stress. So instead of I should, we want to just kind of put these seeds in there. It would be nice, or I'll look for the time, you know, then that's really self-talk that you can do. And another tip I want to give you for this one is a done list. It's not a to-do list, it's a done list. So there's some days where you might do 3 things. It's I worked today, I made a meal, and I went for a walk, and I took people to work or to school. That's good. That's enough. Write it down, write it in your date book, and call it a day, and reward yourself with a show or something that you like. Also recognizing limitations. This is a big one. I know the demands on all of you are increasing. Now we have 20 balls in the air when maybe a month ago even you had 10. There's an adjustment period for getting back into society. It's important that you do that self-scan we were talking about to see how you're feeling about everything. And I want to encourage you to give people the answer, I'm not ready for that quite yet. You know, maybe you're not completely ready to socialize in person. This is a healing period that we're all going through. So you should not feel pressure to rush into anything. Recognize where you are now and practice that grace and acceptance with it. And this leads into the next one, be tolerant of yourself. It's so often that we're tolerant of others and we give grace to others and we have patience, but all of those qualities we want to encourage you to have for yourself. Remind yourself you're moving at your own pace. Some things take time. What are you emotionally able to carry in this moment? And sort of cherishing the side of yourself that really dug deep this year and had the incredible strength to be there for your community, be there for your family, be there for your friends. So tolerance, self-tolerance, accept that, thank yourself. And also encouraging yourself to explore different ways to fulfill your needs. Sometimes we've gotten into a rut about how our needs are met. Remember that what worked 6 months ago, this is what we were looping back, or 1 month ago, may need some switching up. We may not be able to bake that bread every day or 2 or 3 times a week, but that's why I asked you to think about what was the thing that you cherished about that. So how can we carry those things? How can you adjust your new habits and hobbies into the now moment? This is when we really start to consider how those sources of joy are going to fit. So I just want to ask if anyone's willing to share in the chat, or you can unmute, how we're going to sort of take those sources of strength, like walking. Maybe we're going to be, finding time to walk. For me, it was cooking, and I've accepted not going to be able to cook those elaborate meals, but maybe I'm going to do it once a month, or even on someone's birthday. I may have to let it go. So if anyone has anything, any ideas about how they might take those cherished sources of strength and joy and take them, please let us know. And you don't have to do it now, but throughout this program, we would love to hear that from others, because I think we're all struggling with that. Like, how do we take those sources and then translate them into providing that ongoing joy as we come out of the pandemic?
Okay. Okay. Would anybody like to share in the chat?
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Okay. Was there, there, scheduling time. So we have scheduling time to exercise with friends, 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing. Yeah, that's great. Committing to going for a walk after work. Cooking with friends. Yeah. Reward yourself. Those are all important ways to fulfill your current needs. Oh, I bought a stand for my iPad so that I could zoom away from the computer. Oh, that's amazing. That's setting limits.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Creating a wellness walk crew at the college.
Oh, I really like that. Continuing to schedule my me time. Yeah. I think that's, one thing I've noticed, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, is that now that people are out of the house at different times in my family, somebody always wants to be home alone because it's something we've missed this year. So I've just kind of noticed that in the, and I think that kind of, yes, yes. Like, you all go out to dinner, that's fine. I'm going to stay home alone. I think that's important. And it's something that's been lacking.
Yeah. And that kind of just piggybacks to spending more time with my husband away from the kids. So yeah, just having that, space.
Yeah, I think as we're saying, holding on to that, how do we hold on to that while we move forward? I think we're all hesitant to let these things go. And I like the scheduling. Yeah, the husband do like a little date time.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So next we're going to move into striking balance, establishing healthy boundaries. So, and thank you, Nicole, for just kind of setting us up. But so one thing is, the resounding theme that I've heard from working professionals spanning multiple sectors has been the difficulty experienced finding balance between work demands and family. So many complain that they are not getting that they are not only getting less done, but they are emotionally, mentally, and physically exhausted. Consequently, feelings of worry, anxiety, grief, and/or guilt are commonly experienced. So, conscious or not, these feelings are like a subroutine running in the back of our operating systems, taking up the limited space that already is, exists on our hard drives. So, setting boundaries is actually a major step towards finding balance, fulfillment, and ultimately success. So when we talk about adjusting expectations of self and others, the attention is really aimed towards self you know, as difficult as it may be, we cannot control others. However, we can choose how to be in relationships and situations. So adjusting expectations of others really requires intentional, like the intentional act of creating healthy boundaries that influence how you personally allow people to show up for you and how you show up for others. So healthy boundaries ultimately lead people to feeling safe, loved, calm, and respected. We're going to go a little bit deeper. So why is it important to have personal boundaries? Well, one, they are a safeguard to overextending yourself. We know that has been something that we've done a lot of during the past few months. They are also a self-care practice. They're parameters for knowing what to expect in relationships. They are a way to create clarity, and they are also a way to communicate your needs to others. There are 3 levels to boundaries, which have the following characteristics. So the first one that we have is porous boundaries, which are weak or poorly expressed and are unintentionally harmless. They can lead to feeling depleted, overextended, to depression, anxiety, and unhealthy relationships. They manifest as like oversharing, codependency, people pleasing, and like a dependency on feedback. Rigid boundaries involve building walls to keep others out as a way to keep yourself safe. And this typically comes from fear of vulnerability or a history of being taken advantage of. And they can pretty much look like never sharing, cutting people out, or having high expectations of others. Lastly, healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries are possible when the past doesn't show up in your present interactions. They require an awareness of your emotional, mental, and physical capacities combined with clear communication. And they basically look like being clear about your values, listening to your own opinion, sharing appropriately with others, and being comfortable saying no. So right now I'm going to launch a poll, and I want you to just maybe identify which of these traits, if any, sound familiar to you or that you may relate with. So you can just give a little feedback. Nice. This is great. So it looks like most of the responses, 75% of our group right now is stating that they have a mixture. Some very few rigid and healthy. So kind of just reflective of the poll, most people do have a mix of different boundaries. For example, some people can have healthy boundaries at work, porous boundaries in romantic relationships, and a mixture of all 3 with their families. They're not fixed. So, let me stop sharing. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so the appropriateness of boundaries heavily depend on the setting. So what's appropriate to say with friends may or may not be appropriate to say when you're at work. And some cultures have different expectations when it comes to boundaries. For example, some cultures are, they consider it inappropriate to express emotions publicly, while others find emotional expression and they encourage it. And I'm going to talk about the 4 types of personal boundaries. There's physical boundaries, and physical boundaries refer to the rules that define your personal space and touch in settings and relationships. For example, hugs versus handshakes. Healthy boundaries include an awareness of what is appropriate and what is not. There's intellectual boundaries, which refer to thoughts, values, and opinions on matters. For example, in your workplace, you may have an opinion on how things should operate at work. and value your morning meetings and won't allow someone else's ideas of how things should go influence your own. When in reality, you have to accept others' ideas as well as ask for that respect. Emotional boundaries refer to a person's feelings. Healthy emotional boundaries include limitations of when to share and what not to share as it relates to personal information. Your emotional boundaries might cause you to say no to certain tasks at work. For example, you won't allow others' attitudes about it to easily influence your own. And time boundaries basically refer to how people use their time. And to have healthy time boundaries, a person must set aside enough time for each facet of their lives, such as work, relationship, and hobbies. So this next slide just kind of highlights or provides examples of how to establish healthy boundaries in the workplace. The first is just saying no to working on the weekends, or committing to your family time by not checking emails on the weekends, giving yourself permission to say no to job opportunities that don't serve your lifestyle needs, utilizing your paid time off when you're sick. A lot of us tend to work when we need to set limits or boundaries around that. Taking a mental health day or taking a vacation because you've earned that you have the time and you want to take it. Turning down tasks that aren't in your job description. Maybe even closing your office door when you need quiet time, putting on headphones when you need to focus, allocating or delegating workload so you're not responsible for everything, keeping professional with coworkers even if some of them are good friends. This may mean like a handshake at work over hugs, and also just committing to the idea of having to improving your work-life balance. So I'd like to hear from you all. How can your new awareness of boundaries help create a better work-life balance? What steps can you take? What strategies might you try? I want you to just spend a few seconds thinking about it and maybe sharing it in the chat or unmuting yourself and saying it aloud.
I have too much to share in the chat. But I just like to reestablish the safe space before I say anything. I am purposely trying to create better workplace boundaries. I think it's a great opportunity to do it because we're undergoing a lot of new leadership. And so I'm excited about that. And being able to ease into it from being in this for me, I'm in a more of a hybrid space because I do go on campus. I'm just being more mindful to.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I think you said something important, like there's new leadership. So that alone gives you an opportunity to practice, creating healthy boundaries, because what you did previously, or the expectations that you had can be a little bit. You can allow yourself to be mindful and flexible, as you stated before. I like that.
I like some of these ideas. To turning off my computer over the weekend and having my hours listed in my email signature. That is great. You're setting a great boundary. You're giving people the expectation. That's very healthy. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Stopping at a specific time.
Yeah, that's huge. I try to stop working at a specific time every day, whether I have completed everything I wanted to, asking for help, delegating, and then actually, the chat's moving, leaving it to the other person and trusting that it'll get done. Yeah. Here's another one. I'm guilty of double checking. Oh, Sorry about
Oh,
that.
nothing. No, it's a great boundary. Oh yeah, double checking the partner to make sure they've done. Yes, I know that's something I've worked on also. That's why I wrote same. And for me, I will say what's worked is the good enough, that they're going to do it in a way that's good enough. And if I'm unhappy with it, then it might just be me. So, but I know that's, I struggle with that one also, because I'm very organized and I understand like my spouse is not quite the same. So letting go.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Here's
Letting go.
another good one. I turned off my work notification on my phone so that I only get them on my laptop. That's huge. Setting boundaries so you're not constantly checking. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing, everyone.
Yes, I like that. Picking what I'm willing to get annoyed about. That's true. That's the prioritizing, that's the prioritizing for mental health, because some things are important. There's some things that are important to get just right. I found that in my life, probably like 10% of the things are those like travel plans or things that are actually time sensitive. Yeah, and the rest of it is it's fine. Good enough. It's
Good enough. That's
good
it.
enough, but great tips.
Thank you all.
That's wonderful. So yeah, now we're going to move a little bit into Zoom boundaries, and you're probably tired of like hearing about Zoom over Zoom. So, it's a funny moment that we're in. But we just kind of wanted to just touch on it a little bit because we know you will probably still be Zooming for a few more months, if not a hybrid situation. I know a lot of communities haven't fully decided what they're doing, or, people are still sort of in negotiations about that. A while back, it seemed reasonable to fill all this time with Zoom weddings and Zoom this. But as we go to what we hope is the final stage of the pandemic, Zoom calls can be feeling like even more exhausting than they did before, especially when we're mixing in, real in-person events. So you're like jumping off a Zoom call, getting in the car, go picking up somebody, have a Zoom call in the car, transfer it to your computer at home. I don't know if this feels familiar to anybody, but I feel like it's sort of adding actually an extra step as we emerge. So we just want to maintain the health around Zoom. Trying to, I don't know if this is possible for people, but we want to put it out there that trying to make certain days Zoom days, doing more meetings on one day or different hours, Zoom hours. What I find helpful, my brain works best in the morning and I degrade slowly after like 4 p.m. So, trying to do the sharp meetings and things that I have to do in the morning, and then saving some more work for the afternoon, sort of written work and things like that. So finding the best time for you. I know it's sort of individual and we're all meeting with others, but just being mindful of your schedule. And then that's also going to allow you to have patience with yourself when you have that 4 p.m. Zoom and you're not feeling so great, sort of remembering, this is not my perfect time of the day for this. I'm just going to be off camera. Or we were also talking about going back to 2019, maybe a conference call. Does everything have to be on Zoom? Which I know now it's our preferred method, but really, can a conference call work? Can a one-on-one phone call work? Blocking off those times to go outside after your Zoom calls, refocusing your eyes on objects in the distance because your computers are all, 2 feet in front of you. Doing the stretching. We're going to drop some stretches in the chat that we found that are great resources for you. I know many of you have hopefully instituted a practice of stretching into your day, just getting up, walking outside, getting some vitamin D. Again, using conference calls. But, I'd also, if anyone has any suggestions for, mitigating Zoom fatigue, what are you doing? I'm going to just put that in the chat. So we have this ongoing, this is something that we've all been dealing with. But it's very important, as I said, to stretch, we did that wonderful meditation with Nick Awana, which we'll send it out again. Sort of maybe doing that in the middle of the day, refocusing your mind and your eyes and your body is really important. We want to remind everybody of that.
Yeah, there's some great suggestions. Zooming outside, if you really need to, that's great. It allows a shift of environment and just fresh air. Short meditations have been helpful. Zooming while standing, so much sitting, that's a great one, just standing. Yeah. Oh, this is a great one. I make sure I don't teach more than 2 Zoom classes on a day. So that's good limit.
It's a good boundary.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about those stressful moments that we're bringing up before. No matter how much we meditate and work on our mental health, we're going to have stressful moments, and we're going to have challenges with ourselves. We're going to have challenges with others. So we just want to circle back to that, and we want to protect these newfound mental health muscles that we're building. So I'm just going to go through a few steps, practical steps on navigating stressful moments. It's really important that we think about our nonverbal communication, and we want to keep it as non-threatening as possible. I think we've all been in conversations with people who are, their arms are closed, their posture is tense, and often that really makes the situation more stressful. The more a person is in distress, the less they're going to hear your words, and the more they're going to react to your nonverbal communication. So keeping your body tone and language neutral is going to go a long way towards diffusing a situation. And I also want to let you know the reason we're sort of touching on this is, this is all related to empathy and understanding and self-compassion and sort of navigating this reality. I know it's very stressful for some, it's less stressful for others. So we really want to give you these like protective mechanisms to think about. We're all in a wide range of continuum of emotional states. So this is really why we want you to protect yourself. It's important to keep your emotional brain in check. Remain calm, rational, professional. You can't control the person's behavior, but you can control your response. I know that's often said, and it's easy to say, but it's harder to do in practice, especially when we're feeling very emotional about a situation, or we feel very close to what we would like the outcome to be. Positive thoughts. This is kind of like a fake it till you make it. And, the science supports this, that thinking I can handle this or I know what to do is really the self-talk that you need to sort of get through a tougher situation. Or, and this could be, keeping your emotional brain in check. This could be going into a store for some people. This could be talking to somebody about why you still are choosing to wear a mask. This could really relate to specific pandemic situations, but it also relates to sort of all conflicts or challenges. Focusing on feelings. Facts are important, but how a person feels is the heart of the matter. Watch and listen carefully to the undercurrent of messages that someone else is giving. Something that when we're talking to young children helps, but I find that it can really be helpful with adults, and really we should be aiming to be treating each other this way. Saying things like, I'm listening to what you're saying, or that must be really scary. That must have felt really hard. Those really simple affirmative phrases can create a bond of empathy and connection with another that's just truly going to diffuse situations and sort of just create that calm, centered atmosphere that you want to create yourself, but you're going to create it in connection with another person. Setting limits, you know, as people or we all progress through a crisis, giving respectful, simple, and reasonable limits. A person who's upset may not be able to focus on everything you say. Yes, we've all been through this situation. So being clear and speaking simply, trying to be non-emotional in that moment when you're setting limits. And also, I want to leave you on this note for this topic, which is choose wisely what you insist upon. And I really think that this is something to consider for all our relationships. It's important to, and this kind of goes back to like, if we're checking on others or not checking on others, it's important to be thoughtful about deciding what is negotiable for you and what is not. So that's really like a self-protective mechanism ultimately. But if you can offer a person flexibility and options, you can sort of empower others while protecting yourself and creating that empathy connection. So yeah, so we were just talking about what are some de-escalation, if anyone wants to share, it doesn't have to be now, de-escalation techniques that you may have used that you would like to share. I'm going to share something. I can be anxious sometimes to get my point across. You know, so sometimes I like jump in before someone's finished and I realize that, you know, I just need to usually the person's going to say something different than what I thought. So just sort of like taking that breath and taking a back seat when, and it's sort of hard to understand each other sometimes when you're both one person stressed out and feeling escalated. So really just like having that moment where you let somebody else take over can be really powerful for both of you before things get heated.
Yeah, someone shared in the chat saying that positive mantras that I can say to myself including things like I can do this or everything will be okay. I also like to try to breathe deeply a few times to recenter myself. Good. Reminding myself to breathe slowly through my diaphragm. Oh, this is a good one too. Asking questions for clarification sometimes. Yeah, and yeah, that's huge because breathing. I try to ask myself if what I have to say is actually helpful or useful for the other person to hear, or am I just needing to verbalize it for myself? Yeah.
That's a big one.
Taking deep breaths, waiting to hear someone completely. Yeah, these are all great practices.
That's a good one too. Not responsible for fixing everything. That's huge.
It's really good. It sounds like a lot of positive stress practices are being used. Yeah, removing myself to collect my thoughts if possible. Yeah. Wonderful.
I remember I was given that tip as when my son was a baby or a toddler, like just shut the door and go in the room. Everyone's going to be fine. I actually think that's wonderful too. Yeah, just step away, de-escalate yourself, take a deep breath.
Yeah, I like this too shall pass is a good mantra just to kind of remind yourself. Like sometimes things are momentary and not don't span across forever. So knowing that this too shall pass is huge. Walking away and resetting. Yeah.
Oh, Laura, yeah, that's great. Before a meeting, yeah, meditating, short prayer. Yeah, reaching, that's like maintaining those connections.
Yes, praying, tapping into your faith and your spirituality. That's huge.
sometimes it does take a little reminder, right? That we all have these mechanisms that do protect ourselves and bolster our emotions, sort of to use them or to use new ones, as we're also talking about today. Finding new ways to protect your mental health, boost your mental health.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing.
That's wonderful. So, yeah, I want to quickly show this video that Nikki and I had found. It's Brene Brown, who is a research professor and a thought leader in compassion and empathy. And it might be like a little fuzzy, but we really thought that her words were very powerful. We'll put her video. We have resources which we will drop in the chat. Oh good. So here's a document. Just sort of the way she's talking about empathy and compassion. You know, we want to honor that you were all drawn to this profession and drawn to this community as helpers, and your students are leaning on you, your community's leaning on you, your family's leaning on you. And it's easy sort of to let yourself take on the emotions of others. And having empathy is a valuable skill. However, it's important to limit the time and energy that you give to others. And I think everyone had great ideas today about that. We just want to show a short snippet and talk about empathy. And again, I want to say as a tool to connect, but also to protect. So you want to protect yourself and sort of build that well of empathy, but it's not like giving and giving and giving until you're depleted. So can you play the video for us?
Yeah, are you able to see it? Is everyone, is it showing? Okay.
I think compassion and empathy are different things. And again, I'm relying on my data for this. I think compassion is a deeply held belief that we're inextricably connected to each other by something rooted in love and goodness. I call that God. Not everybody calls that God. My dad would call it fishing.
Fishing?
Fishing?
Is it fishing?
No, there's no G in fishing.
Okay.
But I think compassion is a deeply held belief. I think empathy is the skill set to bring compassion alive. So empathy is something we can teach. I mean, it's something we've taught our kids since they were very little. It's about how to communicate that deep love for people in a way so that people don't know they're not alone. I think there's a lot of new interesting information out there about empathy not being a good thing, about that, you know, there's an argument that says, you know, if Travis is in struggle and I practice empathy with you, I'm taking on your darkness, and it leads to burnout and it leads to, but empathy is not feeling for somebody. It's feeling with them. It's touching a place in me that knows where you've been, so I can look at you and say, me too, brother. You're not alone in this. And I find empathy to be infinite. I think it gives back tenfold what you put out.
It's sustaining. Like if you've done the work and you have your boundaries, I mean, you could tread that water forever and never get tired.
Okay, so empathy. I'm quoting Travis here, empathy. If you've done your work and set your boundaries, you can tread that water forever. Yeah. Amen. It's not finite. And it keeps giving back to us. And so this idea that, but here we go back to where we started this conversation. Empathy minus boundaries is not empathy. Compassion minus boundaries is not genuine. Vulnerability without boundaries is not vulnerability. So you see that there's a huge riff here, which is boundaries are freaking important.
Right.
And they're not fake walls. They're not separation. Boundaries are not division. They're respect. There's here's what's okay for me and here's what's not.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Nikki. I think that's wonderful. There's more, and I dropped that video into the resource guide. And we want to wrap up today looking at this. And I think we should all, look at we were going to do breakout rooms, but I think like we've created a really beautiful space here. Nikki, what do you think?
Yeah.
Let's do this all together. Yeah.
Yes.
And then we could use the chat. So yeah, I love that idea that empathy is boundless with boundaries. That's really wonderful. So we're looking at this. We'll share our screen. It's just a quick little exercise to get you thinking about, what serves you, what protects you.
Do you see it?
Not yet. It must be the next one.
Thank you.
There you are. Yay. So okay, food for thought. Fork, plate, knife, napkin. This is something that we want to offer you as a tool, food for thought.
Yeah. So
Yep, go ahead.
I was going to say, so, just based upon the information that we covered today, we want you to really just reflect on what's going on in your life. And we won't do a breakout room, but just, and we could just take the time to talk through it now, but this exercise can just give clarity and guidance on making goals or commitments to yourself to create healthy boundaries. So just looking at the placemat, as Nicole kind of shared, we want you to answer, just take time to think of your responses to the prompts. And then, if you want to share in the chat, we can, you're more than welcome to, but as it states, fork, what new things would you like to take a stab at? Plate, what all is on your plate right now? Knife, what things are cutting away at your time? Spoon, what things would you like or need help with? And then lastly, napkin, what things protect you? So I'm going to drop this. I'm going to drop these questions in the chat while everyone takes some time to just kind of think. And we want to hear some of your responses. Fork, more yoga. Napkin, friends. Cutting away at my time in social media. That's a huge time sucker. Thank you for attending. I know someone's taking it off. Spending more time alone with my husband. That's huge. So these are personal commitments to yourself, and maybe a goal that you may have that would be great to see you put into practice. Quiet space and time. Saying no.
Which is a complete sentence. I know it's often said, but it's worth repeating. It's a complete sentence.
Good.
Yeah, we want to just encourage everyone to honor this moment that is happening collectively for you at the college with the end of the year, but also in our greater society that's happening, you know, our state, our county, our world. We're going to go through a process of healing, and that includes some self-healing and collective healing. And just sort of considering, what does that mean for you? What's protective? What's your napkin? What things can we cut away? Sort of really hard to, you know, break the plate. There's sort of, you know, there's things on our plate that are on our plate. Oh yeah, self-care. That's great. And then the spoon is, you know, asking for help. That I feel like that includes delegating, letting go, the good enough, trusting others to do their part.
Maintaining my boundaries, continuing meditation, giving myself alone time. Huge.
Yeah, like real alone time at your house alone. Yes. That's important.
And they're all skills that require practice.
Yes, flex your muscle, flex those muscles.
I like that.
Not to be hard on yourself. That's huge. That's the should. That's our should. Yeah, thank you everyone for sharing so honestly today and for being with us. I hope it was useful to you. This was like a really great time. It would not be successful and fruitful without your contributions. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
And we hope that you guys all, again, just practice healthy boundary setting as you go into the summer. And I know your semester's ending, so really just kind of work to build more balance in your work life and family life.
And I'm just dropping the resources again in the chat. So, and I added the video that we watched today. You can watch the whole thing, and you can also find more of her on, I think, Netflix and YouTube. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. Hopefully
Thank you. Thank you so much. I dropped a little evaluation survey in the chat, but I'll also follow up through email. But thank you so much to Nicole and Nikki for putting this together. And we hopefully will be able to see more of you in the fall. So, but thank you for everyone attending, and we'll be posting the recording on our YouTube page in the next few days.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you.